So another season of Doom Patrol came and went, and at first, mostly because of time, I didn't do episode by episode reviews, and I decided I would do the whole season in one video, and took a while to get around to it because Doom Patrol has a lot of character and the trappings of surrealism and craziness that it does. And actually, this season could have almost been two entirely different seasons, somewhat. Basically, the cliffhanger of last season is wrapped up very quickly, which kind of takes away from it, really. I mean, when you consider Dorothy's power. But then where else do you go, you know? And then ultimately the death of Niles Calder plays on it, even though they did the scene with his head being revived. I thought that they would go with that, or he would just be the hit, because that, how the comics did it and stuff. But that was short-lived. And then the Dead Boy Detectives. And I think they're going to try to, maybe, I don't know if it's going to be a spin-off out of this or just some other show based on those characters. But there is going to be a show. At least that's the plan. I mean, who knows, once the whole merger is settled, they might say, nah, we're not spending money on that. But that's where Dorothy goes. She teams up with them, and maybe that would make up the show as a spin-off from this one. It's a great cast, although and the guy playing Cyborg is all right. He's pretty good. At first I thought, well, it's okay to be a guest star or something, but he's not really a member of the team, and that he should have been a part of Titans. Well, the Titans pooped the bed. Despite having a great actor playing Nightwing, just one of these actors who just about everything right about him to do the role, but they didn't really give him the role, and it was a crappy show. And Doom Patrol is like a masterpiece compared to that steaming pile, and it's just so enraging to see all that wasted. But it was. So I guess it worked out best for a Cyborg to be on the Doom Patrol team, because he would have been wasted over there. So I guess Beast Boy got the short end of the stick on that one. So anyway, they go through some interesting things. Missy from Doctor Who shows up and becomes a new cast member. So if there is another, I haven't heard if there's going to be another season, but it ends with her. I get more or less it was like, oh, she's taking the place of Niles, but Rita's not going to have any of that because they do it in their own weird time travel way. Oh, and what are the odds that she would be a time traveler? But got to be one of the more interesting time machines ever done. But that's the deal with the surrealism of Doom Patrol, but it's also in this where they flat out just make them the avant-garde superheroes, where they make reference to Dadaism and that sort of thing in it. And so the quirkiness and all that, it works, but it's obvious they don't have the budget to expand on some of the cooler aspects of it. The giant robot appears again. Cliff is now a giant robot because the brain stole his body so that he could put his brain in his, the whole I'm sure he'll get his old body back, but for the time being, he's a giant robot now. And it's funny. The shape-shifting abilities of Missy's character, Madame Rouge, as she is in this one, gets really good, especially there's a big fight with them in the kitchen by the end of the series, or less the penultimate episode of the end of the series. It's pretty good, and then the rest of it is all this cool stuff with giant robot and everything. But ultimately, the narrative of the show, and it's to its detriment, is very repetitive. It's the same thing. It's the daddy issues with Cyborg and his dad, which it's already been dealt with and resolved. I mean, I don't know how much more you're going to deal with this. And it's just trying to fit Cyborg into this weird group, which he doesn't really fit. He's more of a normal superhero. I mean, maybe if superheroes could be normal, I guess they can't. But you know, the Doom Patrol are weirder than the weird. and stuff like that. This woman that he's in love with, Cyborg, you could do better than that. And I don't mean because how she was disfigured. I mean she's just evil. I mean, it's just not, you know, they're supposed to be sympathetic towards her stuff, but no, not really. Sorry. But the thing of it is that, you know, it's repetitive on the motives and directions of the character. Jane, my God, it's the same thing over and over again. They dance around it. There's always some big threat in the underground, and it's just, I can't take it anymore. But there again, it's like, probably it'd be too expensive to just have her utilize the different powers she has access to from the different personalities, which would be cool, but they can't really do it. It's too expensive. You know, it's just obvious that's what it is. Rita, you know, it's the same thing about her. And here they give her a little something more, where she has this revenge motive that she's pursuing against Madame Rouge and what she did through the course of the story. With it involves time travel and all this sort of thing. And then Cliff, yeah, they just, you know, certainly he has some of the funnier lines and all that stuff, and that's good and all, but it's the same thing. You know, I'm a failed father and I'm a piece of shit and all this stuff, you know, and it's just over and over again. And how many times do you do this? You say, well, you know, he does too much drugs and drinks too much or something, so he forgets that he already resolved some of his problems. And then Larry, same thing. It's the same thing. And, boy, his life was wasted, and he denied his homosexuality and all that stuff. Well, yeah, I know. How many times do you go through this? You know, I mean, they're torturing these people. And the weird thing about, well, the negative entity went away, so now, you know, he gets a new one, and it's all very bizarre as to how that happens. But nevertheless, that's about the only new thing. You know, what really isn't all that new. He just gets another, you know, entity, a negative entity, and, you know, a part of him after he's separated from the original one. So, it's just, they're journeys as they were. It's just a repeat of what they've done before. And because of the nature of the show and the expense it would take to actually have them do, you know, conflict, whether it's the, you know, the Dadaist or the Brotherhood of Evil, which has some pretty funny moments, and they can almost steal the show from time to time, but they can only be there for a little while because it's too expensive. So that's the thing. As a result of that, I think they have too many episodes, and this keeps coming up with streaming shows. I don't think you have the material for it to be all that intriguing, you know, because you keep doing the same story over and over again. There's cool stuff in it, and that's great, but it's like a long slog to get from, oh, it starts off pretty cool, and then, oh, look, there's something, and then the show's over, you know, or the season's over, rather. And I think they need to cut off some episodes, you know. Of course, I can compare it to other venues who have way too many episodes. The CW shows all have too many episodes, but good God, Doom Patrol is leaps and bounds superior to any of those. Despite being a Greg Berlanti production. I keep forgetting that. God, that is so weird. But yeah, you know, I wanted it to be better, but it isn't. And repetition does kill shows. It's killed a lot of shows. It killed The Walking Dead, you know. And it's still going on, apparently. Well, I think this is supposed to be their last. Whatever. I think there's a bunch of spinoffs. Who cares? Gave up on it because that's what. So I'm willing to give another season a chance, but boy, I think if they tightened it up a little more, and they could but they can't keep doing these constant narratives that they've already dealt with. You just can't do that. So even if it is just one episode out of a, you know, an 8-episode season or a 6-episode season, however they want to do it, so they can have, you know, more of the spectacular things and characters that would require some amount of money. But still, if it's just going to be, I just want to be a good dad, and it's like, yeah, I know, enough already. Because I mean, are they going to have him and Jane screaming at each other after they've had this sort of resolution where they thought they were going to die and everything? Probably so, and that would be a mistake. Once your characters have grown, you've got to let them be the characters you've made them be, you know. So anyway, there's cool things in it, but its flaws are growing and growing, and that's a problem.